In this lecture, we are going to learn about parameters and arguments in Python functions. Let's first try to understand what functions in Python programming language are. So a function is a group of related statements that performs a specific task, which only runs when it is called. Functions in Python help us to break our program into smaller and modular chunks. As our program grows larger and larger, functions make it more organized and manageable. Now, let us understand how we create a function in Python. But before creating a function in Python, we need to keep some important points in mind. We define a function using the def or def keyword. We need to allot a unique name to the function name to uniquely identify the function. Function naming follows the same rules of writing identifiers in Python. Parameters and arguments in a function are optional. We are going to learn about the parameters and arguments in this lecture in detail. Colon. A colon is used to mark the end of the function header. One or more valid Python statements that make up the function body. Statements must have the same indentation level. An optional return statement to return a value from the function if required. Functions are defined with parameters, which are placeholders for values that will be passed into the function when it is called. When the function is called, the actual values provided are called arguments, and they are assigned to the corresponding parameters of the function. Parameters are specified after the function name, inside the parentheses. You can add as many parameters as you want. Just separate them with a comma. Now let us take a look at an example of functions with parameters. You can see it on your screen. Calling the add numbers function with arguments 5 and 3. Add numbers 5, 3. Now let us break down the given code. First, we define a function called add numbers with two parameters, a and b. So parameters are like variables that hold values passed to the function. Inside the function, we create a new variable called sum and assign it the value of a plus b. This calculates the sum of the two numbers passed as arguments to the function. We then use the print function to display a message along with the calculated sum. The sum is printed, followed by the value of the sum variable. And finally, outside the function, we call the add numbers function and pass the values 5 and 3 as arguments. This means that A will be assigned the value 5 and B will be assigned the value 3 within the function. When the function is called, the code inside the function is executed. The sum of 5 and 3 is calculated and printed, resulting in the output. The sum is 8. This code demonstrates the basic concept of defining and calling functions in Python, as well as performing arithmetic operations within the function. Now, an argument is a value that is sent to the function when it is called. Let's take an example for default parameters in a function. Here it is on your screen. In the given code, we have a function named myfunc that takes two parameters, a and b. The parameter b has a default value of 4 assigned to it. When the function is called with only one argument, like myfunc5, the value of a is set to 5, while the value of b remains the default value of 4, since it was not explicitly provided. Inside the function, the expression A star B is evaluated, which multiplies the values of A and B together. In this case, it would be 5 multiplied by 4, resulting in a return value of 20. Therefore, when we call myfunc5, the function returns 20. The use of default parameters allows us to provide a default value for a parameter in a function. So if that parameter is not explicitly passed when calling the function, the default value will be used instead. It provides flexibility and convenience by allowing functions to be called with fewer arguments if desired. In this example, the default parameter b equal to 4 ensures that the function can be called with either 1 or 2 arguments, with b taking the default value of 4 if not explicitly provided. What if we try to override the default parameter in the given function? myfunc5, 6. When we execute myfunc5, 6, it calculates the product of 5 and 6, which is 30, and returns that value. The purpose of default parameters is to provide a fallback value in case a parameter is not explicitly specified when calling the function. If we were to call myfunc without providing a value for b, it would use the default value of 4. Default parameters are useful when you want to make a parameter optional and provide a default value that can be overridden if needed. It allows for flexibility when calling the function, as you can choose to either use the default value or provide your own value for the parameter. Now let's take an example for the positional arguments. Positional arguments are arguments that need to be included in the proper position or order. The first positional argument always needs to be listed first when the function is called. The second positional argument needs to be listed second, and the third, and so on. Let's take an example and understand the concept of positional argument properly. You can see the code on your screen. In the given example, we have a function named func that takes 3 arguments, a, b, and c. These arguments are called positional arguments because their values are assigned based on their position or order when the function is called. Inside the function, there is a return statement that calculates the result of the expression a into b plus c and returns it as the output of the function. When we call the function using the line func3 to 4, the values 3, 2, and 4 are passed as arguments to the function in the same order as defined. The function then evaluates the expression 3 into 2 plus 4, which simplifies to 6 plus 4, resulting in a return value of 10. Finally, the output value of the function is printed to the console. So when we run the code, the output will be 10. This example showcases the usage of positional arguments in a function, where the values provided in the function call are assigned to the corresponding parameters in the function definition. The next important concept that we must know about is the keyword argument. A keyword argument is an argument passed to a function or method, which is preceded by a keyword and an equals sign. Let's take an example and understand the concept of keyword arguments better. Let us define a function called marks with 3 parameters for 3 subjects, maths, science, and English, and return the total marks of all the 3 subjects. The code is on your screen. Default way of passing values. Print marks 70, 80, 90. Calling function with keywords. Print marks math equal to 70, science equal to 80, English equal to 90. Calling function by changing the position of arguments with keywords. Print marks, science equal to 80, maths equal to 70, English equal to 90. In this code example, we have a function called marks that takes 3 arguments: maths, science, English. The function returns the sum of these 3 arguments. The first print statement shows the default way of passing values to the function. Here we pass the values 70, 80, 90 in the order they are defined in the function signature. So maths equal to 70, science equal to 80, and English equal to 90. The function calculates the sum and returns the result, which is then printed as the output. The second print statement demonstrates calling the function using keyword arguments. Instead of relying on the order of the arguments, we explicitly mention the argument names and assign values to them. This is done by using the syntax argument name equal to value. So we pass maths equal to 70, science equal to 80, and English equal to 90 as keyword arguments. The function calculates the sum based on the assigned values and returns the result, which is printed. The third print statement showcases calling the function by changing the position of the arguments using keyword arguments. Here we rearrange the order of the arguments in comparison to the original function signature. Even though the order is changed, we specify the argument names with their corresponding values using keyword arguments. The function still calculates the sum correctly based on the provided values and returns the result, which is then printed. Using keyword arguments allows us to explicitly assign values to specific arguments, regardless of their order in the function definition. It can be helpful when there are multiple arguments or when we want to provide clarity and flexibility to our function calls. Now, it's important to keep in mind that Python uses a concept called pass-by-object reference. This means that when you pass arguments to a function, a reference to the object is passed. If the object is mutable, like a list, any modifications made to the object within the function will affect the original object outside the function. And if the object is immutable, like a string or number, then the function operates on a copy of the object. And any modifications made within the function do not, I repeat, do not affect the original object. So here is an example to illustrate this behavior. We define a function called modifyList that takes a parameter called myList. This function is responsible for modifying the list passed as an argument. Inside the modifyList function, we perform 2 modifications to the list. First, we append the number 4 to the end of the list using the append method. Second, we assign the value 100 to the first element of the list using indexing. MyList 0 equal to 100. Then we create a list called numbers with the elements 1, 2, 3. We call the modifyList function and pass the numbers list as an argument. This means that myList parameter inside the function will refer to the same list object as numbers. As a result of calling the function, the number list gets modified. The number 4 is appended to the end and the first element is changed to 100. Finally, we print the modified numbers list using the print function. The output will be 100, 2, 3, 4. This demonstrates the concept of pass-by object reference in Python. When we pass a list to a function, Any modifications made to the list inside the function will also affect the original list outside the function. Well, I hope that you have understood these interesting concepts of functions and its parameters and arguments. That's all for now, and I'll see you soon in the next lesson.